Week 8 in substance abuse. The family remains the primary source for nourishing and having a socialization for humans who deal with recovery. This impact of substance abuse disorders affects the family and the members thereof. Family-based approaches to treatment of substance abuse is highlighted in the need to engage families and parents, which includes parents, siblings, and peers of any sort. Involving the family can be a particular importance in dealing with substance abuse in ways to control and create support. Family-based approaches generally address a wide array of problems and addictions amongst family and people who suffer from addiction. This communication can conflict as we deal with co-occurrency behaviors, especially in mental health disorders and people who work in this peer network system. Research shows that family-based treatments are highly efficacious, which means the study of events which suggest a superior or individual outcome in treatment approaches. Most family counselors who adapt to this have a family system model where abuse comes in a dysfunctional family. Family-based therapeutic ways can have an extreme effect on how one functions. These addictive behaviors in substance abuse can also have a vast effect, but yet sometimes they can be flawed. Better understanding an addiction can affect the behavior as we learn and accomplish better educational processes. Just as a person addresses the family assessment in this matter, there is a more self-assessment as there is found insight in the counselor and counselee. Improving communication is a system of communication and finding limited emotional involvement. There must be an approved requirement as we counsel these to have a better recovery outcome. Regaining trust is important. There must be no dishonesty, and one must be honest in their feelings. During activity in dealing with this, the counselor as well as the counselee can become burnt out. Family members must engage, not being angry, but to express in a peaceful and yet non-invasive way. Setting boundaries can help in getting involved. Clarifying these boundaries is not easy, but is a necessary step in recovering for both the person struggling and the family member. Learning self-care can be a very important treatment in focusing with addiction. During family counseling, a spouse can learn ways to get help such as Al-Anon or other such organizations. Behavior contracting. The counselor helps a family to develop a written contract and to focus a substance-free home. The counselor helps couples to create a drug-free environment. He or she may work with couples to find coping skills, communication skills, and ways to help in relapse prevention. Multidimensional family counseling is a type of counseling where counselors and family focus on ways to deal with substance abuse and behavior problems. The counselor must meet individually with the sufferer and the family member. Parents must work in ways to find means to help their family member dealing with mental health and drug issues. This approach can find ways in focusing and solving problems which can be identified. The abuser may find that it is not easy, but the counselor can help him to determine ways of overcoming these problems. These groups may be helpful and have insight in the behaviors and letting them know that they are not alone. Very often, family members may feel that they are the only ones, but let them be assured that they are not. The primary goal for counselors is to improve and initiate communication. Once this process begins, it is up to each member to decide whether they are willing to continue this counseling process. Another goal is to improve home environment to make it a safe place for the family or the person abusing the drugs. There are key words in this pilgrimage toward recovery, which are faith, hope, and love. Each one is important, but they are undeniably effective. Faith is the essence of things hoped for and yet not seen, yet it is still deeper than that. With faith comes the discipline which beckons us to endure hardship as children of God, dedicated to His teaching and correction. Faith as children, God is respectfully let God discipline us by His grace found in faith. Faith asks to subject themselves to loving God who created us. In the Greek, faith is pistis, faithfulness, belief, and pistos, trust, worth, and believe. Pistu, to convince, continuance of. Pistikos, pure. In some context in the Greek, faith is pistiu, to trust or entrust. Pistikos, again I say, is pure, so we must have that pure faith. Looking up faith in the Greek should broaden our perspective of faith, meaning that what faith is. Jesus Christ is reliable and trustworthy source, and in Him we can find a pure heart. This also involves communication, which is essential and a required investment in our recovery. Regaining trust, dishonesty, and substance abuse fits in this aspect as well. So now we look at hope, which is the knowing that we receive blessing and grace in our Creator. In Job 13:15, though He slay me, yet He will not hope, He will not take away my hope. I will surely depend on the ways of His faith. Despite the fact that Job suffered, he continued to stay steadfast in God, not cursing God. If we look up hope in the Greek, we see elpis, expectation of, elpizo, put hope in aspect. Then we have propizzo, to be the first or to be the forehand. Ek gamisko, to give in the hope of marriage. El pepizzo, to expect nothing in return. So reach out to Christ to find this hope. Love is an unconditional self-act, which is self-sacrifice. toward others, looking for nothing in return. Love looks not at people's faults, prejudging them, but looks at the heart. In the Greek, there is philo, which is the kiss or a friendship kind of love. Philemon, beloved and love, and philia, friendship. Philintho, to mean and kindness and to be kind. So, with this in mind, we see that this love longs to have a spiritual kiss, a sense of worth in oneself and towards others. We must question God for everything to receive the answers, and He will fulfill this in our soul. We must bring our tears and purposes to God, and He will help us in this self-recovery. There is a sense of a purpose in this. In the Greek, we have the word Nike, meaning apparently, or a primary word of conquest. To succeed, we must measure ourselves and be a man who becomes successful. Don't be on the pity pot, but find a way of self-recovery. As a form of psychotherapy, writing poems and other writings can help in creative modes of discovering this purpose. During the 20th century and the 21st century, the form of creative therapy has been adapted in many psychological facilities. Medicine can help fix the problem, but it may not help deal with the problem. The medicine may help us to reach a state of awareness, but we must deal with the problem. Recovery is not a free ride. It is a place of coming to grips with our problems. Scientists have said that humans fear that can paralyze them, and they tend to hide away. There's nothing new in the Bible that repeats this, but except we see it in the Old Testament and in the New Testament that fear is not of God, but yet a pure mind. Self-recovery should be a defining role in our recovery. Proverbs 16:23 says, "A wise man's heart is his mouth, and his lips promote instruction." Here again we see that it's not a free ride, but recovery should become a purpose as we determine the willingness to accomplish purpose of good health. Psychology tells us that humans experiences such fear and does not deal with the root source. Very few of us find this in managing our feelings, but it is needed to have a victoriously free life free of depression and fear. I am not against medication, but I do believe that we need God to help us with the root source. My final words of advice in finding self-discovery lies in the fact that our image of self-discovery is found in God. Ecclesiastes 7:14, when times are good, be happy, but when times are bad, consider God made us, the one as well as the other. Therefore, man cannot discover anything about his future. God knows us and knows our future, even before it comes into existence. So, there is nothing that He will do that we cannot handle. If it is God's will for us to recover, He will create a way that will guide us in finding our true self.